Motherhoodsexmarijuana.com. Yes, indeed. Season 4. We back in the dough, and you better let us in. Oh, yes. Make sure you bookmark this site, motherhoodsexmarijuana.com. And of course, when you want to get some cute cannabis gear, you turn to shop.spreadshirt.com/MSM gear. Of course, we are having a sale at the moment, but by the time season 4 kicks in, we might not be having a sale. But either way, you should support. You should be checking out season 4, and you should be in the door with us, cause motherhood sex marijuana is back, bitches. Ha ha! Motherhood Sex Marijuana, the podcast, proudly presents Fuego 420 magazine. Make sure you check out Fuego 420 magazine. The featured blog stories are right here. Make sure you are checking out each blog. Make sure you subscribe to this magazine. Motherhood Sex Marijuana, the podcast, humbly requests and recommends this magazine as a great read.
Oh, I'm good. I'm Jasmine. I'm using my friend's computer.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I know, right? And see, here go the weed kicking in, because I'm just reading the name, and I know I've been talking to a Jasmine all this time, but here I go reading names and talking shit. See, fuckery. Anyway, how you doing, honey?
I am well. How are you?
All right. But yes, we waiting for Ruby to get in the building. She'll be here in a few minutes. But in the meantime, yes, let's turn on our cameras and get this started. We can definitely get this started before she gets here.
All right, hold on one second, because it says Zoom can't detect the camera. So let me see.
Oh,
Need to plug in. Okay. Let me plug in my alternative. Let's see. All right, there we go.
All right, here we go. Yes, in the building. All right, Jasmine. So listen, now I'm gonna be real honest. So like I remember I've seen you a couple of times on our Instagram feed. I've definitely hit like to a couple of your posts, but I can't remember if we've met in person or how we connected in the first place, other than you reaching out and sending us an email to be on the show.
So I think we actually connected on my other Instagram for a podcast I was doing with my partner. And I was following you guys, and then I followed from my business page and went about it that way. But we haven't met in person.
Okay, cool. See, you got to get the logistics, because sometimes I get to places and I meet people and I forget. Weed happens. Ruby Doll in the building. How you doing, girlie? What's good?
Hey, what's up, Queens? I'm doing well.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
looking good. All right. Looking happy.
As are
We
you.
love happy pregnant people. In case we didn't know, Miss Ruby Doll here. This is my podcast partner, and she is pregos big time. So when we
Oh,
see
congrats.
happy faces, we happy because we know pregnancy could be a motherfucker. Lord knows.
It's very unpredictable.
I gave up that ship. I ain't never jumping on that ship again. But we not talking about me. We not talking about me. We not talking about me. No.
Wow. Welcome, Queen Ashley.
No,
So happy to
actually,
have
no, her
you.
name is Jasmine. See, you did the same thing I did by reading people's, see, this is what happens. Weed happens, weed happens. We read your name and forgot that we've been talking to Jasmine. But we're gonna
Okay,
shut
my
up.
bad.
We're gonna start the show. Motherhood Sex
With
Marijuana
sex
in the
marijuana,
motherfucking building. And
indeed.
we're gonna let Jasmine introduce herself. Now she sent us an email to be on the show. From what I know, she is a mental health coach, but we're gonna let her introduce herself so we can all know exactly why she's here.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in the state of Maryland and Virginia, and I prioritize the mental health and wellness of Black and Brown folks. And that
Mm,
includes destigmatizing cannabis use.
yo,
Nice. Good for
that's
you. It's a
big.
well-rounded
Well-rounded and
service.
big because first of all I feel like we've all as a people like you said what I mean we all have mental health issues that I'm saying we don't necessarily talk about and as Black people it's really not automatic that we go to any kind of psychiatrist, psychologist, or talk to anybody other than our friends about our situations, and 9 times out of 10 that ain't even healthy. But you know to have that, and then and to tie in cannabis into it is definitely a new take. So how did that even come about with you?
It came about, to be perfectly honest, it came when I was doing intakes. So when you come to therapy, if you've been to therapy, then you know the first session is gathering information. And I found that a lot of my clients that I was working with were afraid to say, hey, I do use cannabis, right? Whether it was recreational or for medicinal purposes,
Right.
which I struggle with the difference between that. I don't think that should be a thing, but whatever.
Right.
And I didn't want to work against what they were coming to me with their coping skills. I wanted to use what they were already using so that we can build on that and perhaps, work with what they got rather than taking everything away and saying, no, this is wrong, and giving you new things that you're not familiar with.
Right. And honestly, that's a good approach because that I would think that would allow people to feel comfortable with therapy in the first place.
Yes, there was a lot of things that I had to unlearn after grad school, right? Because there's a lot of things that we were taught in grad school that don't necessarily apply to our community. It actually worsens our symptoms because our symptoms may look different from the population that they were doing studies on. So it was very important for me to even bring up that conversation about cannabis use, what that looked like.
Absolutely. How important. It's such a important amount of work, and it's so necessary. As a Samoan woman, my community doesn't talk about therapy either. It's like, what the hell's that? Are you crazy? Literally, that's what you would be asked. Are you crazy? Is something wrong with your head? It's so harsh, and it doesn't help the conversation either. And it doesn't negate the fact that we all need it. So kudos for you. Motherhood Sex Marijuana stands with you in terms of the prioritizing of the Black and Brown communities. Why? Because we truly believe there's a deficit, whether we're talking about healthcare, mental health care, resources, education, we're always, the last on the list. And so it does take leadership like us, whatever we do, whether we're good at baking or whatever, if we know the needs of our community, let's focus on that. I'm so about that. How long have you been out of grad school?
10 plus years.
Oh, okay. I think it's because you're a melanated woman and you look way younger than I'm assuming that you're just fresh out. I shouldn't have assumed.
No, but it definitely sounds like something that you've been doing for a while, and it's obviously a beneficial part of the community. Like, have you had any, let's say, drawbacks, or anybody trying to put negativity in your circle based on what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'll be honest, even prioritizing the mental wellness of Black and brown folks, period, has brought me pushback. But when I start to incorporate conversations about cannabis use, it's like, no, because our field is still holding on to a lot of the ideologies that are just not true. They're not true at all. Like, it's a gateway drug, it's going to influence psychosis, but that's what we found
Whatever other
is
bullshit
that
they got.
the studies are just, it doesn't support those things.
Exactly. Exactly. And see, that's the thing. Is like, one of the things that we talk about on the podcast too is, getting rid of, the stigmas behind, cannabis use. Like cannabis users are not, lazy. They're not, we're not just, sitting around smoking and talking shit. Half of the time, the smoking, it develops creativity. And definitely, I've said it on this podcast too, that my girl Cannabis be talking to me. Like, we have some real conversations about budget, about what needs to be done, what I would like to do, you know what I'm saying, how I would like to get to a certain successful platform as far as my creative and endeavors. Shoot, we have real conversations, and shit, whether it's it's a verbal, I'm actually talking into the air, and I'm feeling like I hear a response or whatever, or it's just a conversation in my head. Cannabis is part of that. Cannabis has always been part of that. You know what I mean? I think of cannabis as a real fucking person. Real talk. Real talk. Like, no, that's a chick. I like her. She like me. We, what I'm saying, we hang out. If we not hanging out, our lives are there's problems and things. No, we, what I'm saying, we soothe each other. That's my G.
I hear you. And we've said it time and time again that if anybody, if you have anything negative to say and are still using like old narrative that reminds us of that, that ridiculous Mad Reefer, commercial that they had back in the day, you're just an idiot. Like,
Right.
You can't, there's just basic principles, there's basic science, there's, statistics as to why this is probably a better choice. And so do you when did you start your use of cannabis, or did it start with your mental health journey?
So, as any teenager, I dabbled in it in high school and a little bit in college. My interaction with cannabis is strictly through my clients at this time. It is, how does that conversation look? How does cannabis help you? What happens when you smoke or you have an edible? What are you doing next, right?
Right.
Is that, are you journaling? Are you going to work out? Are you doing yoga? Are you reflecting? Are you doing self-care? What does that look like so that it is therapeutic for you?
Can you prescribe it to patients?
I cannot. But there are dispensaries around. So when I do speak with clients, I say, okay, ethically and legally, I want to talk to you about getting a card so that you can speak to someone and talk with them.
Gotcha.
Figure out what strand works for you, figure out how your body best ingest it. What are those steps look like? So I do have a coordination of care where I can refer out, whether you're in Virginia or Maryland.
Oh, wonderful.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You know what I mean? And I like the fact, I mean, even though you're not a user of cannabis, a current user of cannabis, you're still, you know, behind the idea. You know what I mean? You're not, you know, you don't have any negative connotations of it. You know what I'm saying? And obviously it's a part of your business. You know what I mean? So it definitely helps you with your clients and whatnot. So I get that. I definitely get that. But have you had any clients that have come to you on some real like I need some help and I don't know what to do. And have you ever directly said, and they don't smoke weed, but you directly said, yo, you ever try to smoke a joint? Like, what's good with you? Like, maybe you need to simmer down. You need a simmer down. I don't know. And I think a simmer down might be in the level of, I don't know, some sativa. I don't know what you like, but maybe I don't know.
So it starts with whether or not they've tried psychotropic medications, right? I think my observation, sometimes it does not work. Sometimes the person's body just does not respond well to it, especially if they're taking it for sleep or anxiety. And so I feel it out, right? So I'll say, have you tried CBD oil or some type of CBD something? And I'm hearing their responses. And then I'll slow walk into, well, have you tried cannabis for medicinal purposes?
Right.
Through a dispensary.
Okay. Jasmine, I'm very curious, being as that you are a therapist, do people misjudge you and tend to think that you have it all together all the time because you have your mental health in order?
Absolutely. I've gotten but why did you say that? Or more importantly, I can't believe you got so mad. You're a therapist.
Like you're not human and you're not allowed to feel shit.
Right.
I love that. Yeah. Someone had, I was going through a really hard time. I had just gotten off of meth. It was bad, girl. It was bad. And at that time, it could have been heroin, but I was on a destructive path to kill myself. I just didn't have the guts to just do it instantly. So it was a really dark time. And I remember someone who grew up with me was like, what the fuck? Like, how could you even do that? How could you even do that? Like, what do you have to complain about? What do you have to worry about? And that is just not the move. You can't assume that because somebody has had no experience in something that all of us, that they're just got it together all the time. Like, just because I'm a nice person and I'm cheery doesn't mean I have it together all the time. And I was just really taken aback, like, okay, well, maybe Rue, you're kind of portraying this happy-go-lucky all the time when you probably should be more honest with your feelings so people don't think everything's all perfect all the time. And this is somebody very close to me and that I actually respected. But
you're on mute, honey.
Oh,
you went on mute for a second.
Sorry, it was I was getting a call, so I had to reject it. Sorry about that, Queens.
No, but we didn't hear what the last word you said.
Oh, I just said that this person that had assumed that I had nothing to complain about, or how could you like fall into despair and be so weak? That person actually I have respect for. So it wasn't like, oh, that person doesn't know me. It's like, nah, you should give me more grace than that, especially because you know that my life hasn't been so peachy. But I think they were comparing their trauma to my trauma. And it's like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I have nothing to do with yours. You know what I mean?
And the experiences may be different, but the feelings associated with it are the same. There's no new feelings under the sun, and they don't change across cultures or people, even within the same family. And trauma is subjective. right? It's not like all these big things that people talk about. It's
Mhm.
what was traumatic for you in your body, in your
Word.
spirit.
Exactly. And I might not be able to withstand the trials that you have or anybody has, but that's not my fault either. And so it was a learning experience because I've been guilty of that too, thinking that really wealthy people didn't have anything to complain about. We all have issues, regardless of our social economic status.
See, I was getting ready to talk about that too, because right now, in our, social media, one of the main things we are seeing is, you know what I'm saying, we're seeing some famous people, and some of them are speaking their mind, and you know what I mean, and people are, taking one take on it, some people are taking another take on it, and to me, it's just, it is literally just a person just being free with their complete thoughts. But at the same time, not everybody is in agreement with their thoughts. So of course it sounds, to you from the outside, it sounds crazy. It sounds way off. But you don't live their life. So you don't know what's really going on in their head. You don't know what's really going on in their situation. So therefore, and also you don't know if they're mentally healthy enough to even process what's going on in their head. It's just because they got money, they got a bigger audience for people to see their
Shit.
I mean, you know what I mean? Everything I'm saying, basically, I'm just basically talking about Kanye. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's what it is. I feel like, like there's some truth in some of the crazy that he's talking. There's definitely some truth, a level of the crazy that he's talking, but at the same time, he got so much money, and then he's talking in such waves, in such different waves, and the fact that he's a black man, that alone is just putting a whole bunch of stigmatisms, a whole bunch of eyes that makes it say like, nah, your man is just, he's off his meds, you know what I mean? And you just gotta take a side at this point, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? Don't crucify me, but shout out to Kanye, dude. I don't think that man's crazy at all. Now,
I don't think he's crazy. I think
he
personally, like I said, he's spewing off a lot of truth, and at the same time, that whatever is in a Kardashian pussy juice, I'm just nah.
The devil's milk.
Whatever the fuck is in there, just it tore up.
The devil's nectar.
What his name? Lamar. Ooh, I can't remember his name right now. Weed is not
Lamar
Odom.
Odom.
Remember his name? Yes, him. He in the streets tore up right now.
Man, Lamar, let me give you some of this. Let me give you some of this. Get you right.
that Kardashian pum pum juice done got him tripping.
I think just watching how Kanye speaks and observing his body language, I think his thoughts go so fast. That's when he's able to communicate effectively, and it just comes out, and sometimes you can't follow it. Word. And I've always said it would be beneficial for him to sit down with someone and get those thoughts out, and they help streamline them so that when people are hearing him, they can receive what he's saying and make an informed decision and not focus so much on how he's communicating those thoughts.
Exactly.
He needs a PR person too.
And at the same time, it's like, because at the level that he's in, I think he's at the level where, where all of these celebrities, when they do some stupid shit in public, like, it's because they got people that are paid to co-sign to say whatever. Yeah, like, see you do something stupid and be like, yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Keep doing that. Like, you know what I mean? There's not enough reality checkers in their circle. At least I feel like a lot of them don't have a lot of just somebody that's just don't give a fuck how much money they making, just willing to, no matter what it is, whether you're gonna cut me off because I tell you the truth, I'm gonna tell you the truth and tell you I'm not feeling your situation, like nah. I'm not gonna co-sign. I'm not gonna sit here and cheer you on. I'm not doing this. Like, no way. You know what I mean?
You know,
also gotta be open to receiving that, because they might be firing those people.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They definitely.
I'll say what the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine, regarding like, so like this, it feels like, I don't want to say mental health all of a sudden is trendy, but it seems like people are, I love that people are talking about it, but it really irritates me when people try to like diagnose other people. So what would be your advice to somebody who felt like they needed to judge everybody's mental health?
Sit in front of a mirror. No, like honestly, because if you find yourself always constantly looking at someone else and trying to figure out what's going on with them, and you're not licensed, right? Because that's my job,
right?
But if you're doing that and you're not licensed and you're not at work, then what's going on with you that you don't want to face yourself?
Word. And I think and honestly, I agree with that whole thought that yes, mental health is trending. Why? Based on everything that went on in the last 2 years. COVID put a real COVID and the news, I feel, right, put a real mental strain on everybody. Yes, for Black people, we had some extras as far as cops killing us, and you know what I mean. And then we started to the defund police, and they really started to not give a fuck when they heard defund. You know what I'm saying? So between those 2 years and the news and just the mass situation, everything that was surrounding, and then COVID kept dropping new singles every 2 minutes, because it was, I mean, for real, COVID was dropping
their amendments
like it was at the like every party, every time they was dropping new singles,
new flavors,
and the whole thought of that was being pushed was, yes, get your mental health check. Yes, go online and find yourself an online therapist, somebody that you can talk to. You know what I mean? So I get why that was trending, but at the same time, I don't think that society in a whole has acknowledged or has decided, has really looked at itself as how much to blame it has to with mental issues. Because I mean, come on now, you got all this you really are like, even the signs that was encouraging the mask, for you to wear the mask, it was like one sign would have where people was talking, they was like, nah, you shouldn't be doing that. And then they had a sign where people had masks on and talking to each other, they was like, yeah, you could do that, but no. And then they had a sign where it was where it was two people sitting next to themselves and they're not talking to each other, they're looking at their phones and not having no interaction, and they're like, yeah, that's the best thing to do. And it's like, that psychologically, that puts a picture in people's heads that, nah, ride this shit out by yourself. You know what? Like, how do you feel about that?
So in my field, right, I talked in the beginning about the things that I had to unlearn after grad school. Mm-hmm. A lot of the theories that we learned, they were based on an individualistic model, right? Mm-hmm. Which is not taking into account that people need community. And so everything that happens to you, everything that you experience, even down to when you come out of those dark places and uncomfortable spaces, you do that by yourself. And that's just not true, because you have people, especially myself, when I was doing my internship in grad school in Chicago and going into community homes, these were people who were operating within a community and not having access to healthy meals or appropriate school systems, basic needs that didn't fall on them. That wasn't their fault. When you're looking, especially how Chicago's politics is set up, is definitely wasn't the best way I was there, but it was, if I blame you and I put it on you, then I don't have to take responsibility for the part that I play and where you are.
Interesting. I love that you use the word unlearn. And I think that that's a key element that we all can help ourselves with. And excuse me, I'm not licensed. I just feel like the minute that I stopped saying certain things my parents were saying, because for some reason it was just embedded in me. And then I was like, I don't even think like this though. Like, why the fuck would I pass this on? So it's like, it was so empowering. And the basic needs that you were talking about, yeah, when somebody's constantly in survivor mode, how can you even think about planning for the next day or the week?
Yes.
That
One of
yeah.
the things that I just could not stand, or we were having professional development in grad school, and they were like, yes, introduce these yoga techniques. And I'm like, what the fuck? How? If we're talking about significant trauma, you want me to ask these babies, because I was working with children at the time, to close their eyes, meditate, and trust me enough to do yoga, and they are not even used to operating in their body because of the trauma. They're in survival mode. That's just, what are we doing?
Exactly. Like, it basically says that the education that we get at school, or that the education that we, you know, make our kids get when we send them to school is just the basic, but what they learn in real life, in real experiences, that's what really is what teaches them how to, you know, be moving around, and how to, you know, move in their lives in the first place. Because literally, like, come on now, like, that makes complete sense. Like, you learn some shit in a book, and then you realize, based on, you know, your real life experience, you're like, oh wait, no, that's not how it's definitely how it's not how I go in that book. It's definitely not that. It's exactly how I went through when I went through, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. As humans, like, there's a lot of things that we get, you know, get cues on. Like, we know when something's up.
right.
When I used to work at the casino, we were not allowed to be like, we weren't allowed to say certain things. Certain things like, have a great night, even though, you know, like something like that. Because what if someone just blew their whole mortgage? You know what I'm saying? You were even though you wanted to be friendly and approachable, you didn't want to be over boisterous, over zealous, you know what I mean? Because you got to kind of like read the room and shit, you know. And not
Exactly.
everybody else is, you know, not everybody's able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I love meditation, because I feel like there's not one way to do it. You don't have to sit
Right.
there and, you know, feel like you have to float in the air and stuff. You know,
Right.
this is part of my meditation. My walks and my silence are part of my meditation. So I think that, you know, it's all about knowing yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, if you're a person that just doesn't like to sit still, you know, or you struggle with that, you might want to consider moving meditation. You know what I'm saying? Whatever works for you.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
that's,
makes
I
So
think,
sense. You know, that, you know, you cater the therapy based on the person, based on, you know,
mhm,
what kind of things they're
how
comfortable
they
with. Because
work.
you're like you
Yeah.
said, it's just like you said, like a kid is not just going to automatically be comfortable with yoga. Even a grown person, you know what I mean, that ain't never even did yoga would be looking at, you know, because I tell you, one time, by accident, literally by accident, I was doing this these gym classes, and I decided to go on a day, like, it was like gym classes I was doing after work. That was a long time ago, when I was actually thinking about going to the gym. I don't give a fuck about gyms now, but
Me
back
neither.
in
But
them days when I actually cared about going to the gym, I was going to classes, and my regular class was on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and it was like a samba thing, and it didn't really feel like exercise because I was dancing all the time. But I fucked around and decided to go on a Monday, and the Monday was the yoga, and because I was there, I decided to stay. And literally, I was sitting there, I was like, bored as fuck, about to fall asleep. This is some bullshit. Oh Lord, what time is the train for me to take my black ass home? Ooh, oh, I ain't never gonna do this on a Monday. Why? Oh, so I was just bored on a Monday. I could have took my black ass home. I'd have been nice in my house right now. I was literally, that was all my thoughts. I was sitting there like, when's the train? When the next train? Because I gotta get the fuck out of here. This is some.
And that comes with knowing your clients too, right? So you're
Mhm.
doing rapport building, and I've worked with people where I know intentional movement works better for them.
Mm.
And so it's, some people smoke before they exercise, right? And
Word.
there's no heat, no judgment, right? I take pre-workout before I exercise. So, what's the difference? So if intentional movement helps you with your anxiety and helps you with your thought process, then let's do it, because that is also a form of meditation.
Word.
Yeah, queen.
All right.
So dating wise or relationship wise, do
Yes,
your
we get into
partners
your business now. Like
yeah, we gotta
have
get to
kids.
your business.
What we riding, and if we riding, and who we riding,
Well,
what we doing.
well, in terms of like your
Stuff like that.
relationships, other than the booty calls, do they have to always watch themselves because you have these special abilities?
You know what? I haven't run into that. I've been with my partner for 8 years.
Okay.
And so he won't even say, "Are you therapizing me?" or "Are you analyzing me?"
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, he's okay with that, but I did fuck up though. I taught him how to communicate his feelings, and now he's doing it all the time, and I'm like, what happened to before?
We are like, where's the pause? We
Like,
gotta
I'm gonna
pause
need
this
you
real
to be
quick.
quiet. Like you share a little bit too much. And I realized I shouldn't have shared the knowledge that now you are sharing with me. And I don't want to be in this sharing with you. I don't want to. No.
It's
No,
the
no, no,
opposite
no. I
though.
want
Like
to get off
when I
this
meet new
plane.
people, they do that. New people, once they
Okay.
find out that you're a therapist, sometimes they'll overstep, and you're like, "We're at the bar. I'm not at work right now," like, or we're at the
And you're
beach,
not paying for
right?
this.
Like that's not. And then it's like they have questions, or they'll be like, "Oh, you've been analyzing me this whole time," and then. Sorry. I'm like, no, I'm just sitting here. I promise you.
Oh yeah, I could imagine that you know what I'm saying, when you do meet new people, people automatically think that, oh, you're automatically gonna go into, let's find out what kind of person you are. It's like, nah, unless you paying me, I don't got time for that.
And it takes a lot of work, right? So it's not, I see you, and even when you come to therapy, for people watching your podcast who haven't gone to therapy, it's not you come in for this one session and then I diagnose you. It's like, no, it takes time. Like, I can't talk to you for 30 minutes and be like, oh, this is what you have. And
Size you up.
No, but that makes sense, and not only for the longevity, but also for, you know what I'm saying, the true, healing process. Because I mean, no, and even when you know what I'm saying, like you go through some trauma and you decide within yourself that you're gonna, heal yourself, or just deal with the process of healing, by yourself. It's not a one-day thing. It can't be a one-day thing, no matter what it is, especially if it's something traumatic. You know what I mean? Like, I myself, one of the things I could say right now is, my grandmother passed away on Labor Day. And literally, I talk about that because it's like, I mean, of course, you know what I mean? She was 94, 95, you know what I mean? The time was, coming. But it was like, just the last time I saw her, like, first of all, like, one of the main things that she never liked, she never liked cell phone pictures. Like, you try to take a picture of her with a cell phone, she cuss your ass out real quick. Put that down. I want you to take a real picture of me that I can feel in my hand. That's not a real picture. Don't be taking no pictures with me of that goddamn phone. You know what I mean? But the last time I saw her, the first thing she said was like, because I was there, it was me and my kids. And she was like, yo, let's take a picture. And I kind of looked at her like, oh shit, like, oh shit, she might like pictures now. So, but you know, and then, but now thinking about it, it's like, okay, maybe it's because she knew that her time was coming, and she wanted to make sure that, you know, that we had a picture of her. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
And even at her funeral, I went to her funeral, and it's like I couldn't walk up to the coffin. Like I couldn't do it. Like I saw her in the coffin, and I was just like, nah, I can't go up there, because it was like she looked grayed out. She didn't look like herself. I didn't want to remember that. So I was just like, I couldn't even walk up to the coffin. You know what I mean? And it's like, right now I got her picture on my wall. You know, I got a little locket with her ashes in it. And like my whole therapy of just, you know, knowing that she's no longer here, it's just, you know, every time I look it up or look her up on the wall, and I remember, you know, something happy about her. You know what I mean? And I know for my father and my uncle, is way harder for them, because they literally, for the last, I would say maybe 10 years, they was dedicating her life, you know, their life, to taking care of her. Like they was literally, you know, doing it in shifts. Like you got Monday and Tuesday, I got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And everybody was, you know, hands on deck to take care of her. You know what I mean? And so now she gone, it's like we all of a sudden got to figure out a new way of living. We got a new routine that's no longer here. You know what I mean? And it's like that the therapy of me going, like me, I'm doing it by myself, basically, just by, you know, just thinking about, you know, she's not here no more. And you know what I mean? And just thinking about, you know, all the happy times I had with her, you know, all the happy moments I had with her. That's, you know what I mean? So it's definitely something that I'm talking about it because it's therapeutic to me. And I know, you know what I mean, you definitely have, I'm assuming in your, you know, in your help in the community, you definitely have come to people that, you know what I mean, that yes, you had to help them, but at the same time you can see that they, you know, they got some sort of a handle on it. You know what I mean? So you kind of just watch them from the side. You know what I mean?
It's important to let people grieve in the way that feels good for them.
Word.
Right? And observing that it's not, you know, destructive or harmful to themselves, because the expectation of coming to therapy is, I come before you, I talk, you're going to fix my life, and I'm going to leave and never feel a horrible feeling again. I'm never.
And that's too much to ask for you.
And it's not realistic, because we're still living and breathing, right? Life is just sometimes a shit show. And therapy is helping you be able to maneuver through it, not ignore it, not get over it quickly, not try to avoid it. Is what can I use? How can I get, literally sometimes it's day by day, and on rough days it's hour by hour. And what do I have in my coping skills toolbox to get me through this?
Word, exactly. And it definitely, you know, it's hard sometimes. It's absolutely hard sometimes, because you know what I mean. You know that it's not just you. You know, at least with me, it's in this particular situation, especially, you know, because she went on Labor Day. Labor Day was like her day. Like she was always, you know what I'm saying, at Eastern Parkway. I don't know if you ever heard about the what you call it, the parade that be out here in New York on Labor Day every year. Eastern Parkway, you know, be live as fuck. And
I've been once, and it definitely was A memorable experience.
Oh, I could imagine. I could imagine. You know what I'm saying? And basically, that was one of her days that she was always out there. So it's like when she passed on Labor Day, was just like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Especially since this year, the parade, this year was the first time the parade came back since COVID. You know what I mean? So it was just like wow, you know what I mean? But that's my therapy moment for it. You know what I mean? I think with Ruby, I ain't gonna talk for you what your therapy moment is, but I think if anything, I think her pregnancy is definitely part of her therapy moment because it's like, you know what I mean? She kind of, she's doing it in a new state. She's by herself and, she got her kids, you know what I mean? She got to be strong. And that's another thing I want to mention, because as Black women, one of the main things they like to say is that, oh, you're Black, all Black women are strong. We can handle it. No, no, we all have our moments where we gotta, where everything is fucking piling up and you know what I mean? So you got to find a way to release it and shit. I use weed to release it. I definitely use weed. And like I said, it might sound crazy, it might sound weird, but real talk, weed is a real person to me in my head. And she just, when I'm having bad moments, she's sitting there talking to me sometimes. She'd let me know, like, girl, I know you was trying. I know you was trying with that job, but you know what? That bitch was a bitch. So she, she didn't understand you. So, you couldn't be there with her because eventually you would have punched her in her face, like for real. So it makes sense that you and her, are not in the same place now. I understand we got to work out. We got to figure out to find a way, a new job, but it's a good thing you not with that bitch no more, because you would have punched her in her face. You remember how?
Which would have been worse.
You know what I mean? Yeah. She was dead ass getting in on your nerves. You didn't want that. You didn't want that. You know what I mean? And that's a real conversation. I'm not, it might sound funny, but that's a real conversation. And marijuana is part of my therapy. Real talk.
Hell yeah. Also, like, just taking time, like, grace and space. Like when so what that the dishes aren't done right now, I'll get to them. I'm gonna lay down though. Lay down for a few hours. Yeah. And it's just, even if I wasn't pregnant, like I love to rest. And so just knowing that about myself too, I think there's a lot of ways we can help ourselves cope. I am a fan of therapy, like, actually talking to somebody who, has the backing, especially if they care, so you can tell if somebody cares or not. So if somebody, you do have that opportunity, I think it's amazing, because it's there, like, you need someone that's unbiased towards your situation, that doesn't feel the same emotions, that isn't affected by the choices you made before you saw that person. So it's like, yeah, I'm really a fan of that. And so where are you located, Jasmine?
Maryland.
I'm in Maryland.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I don't know why I thought you were in New York or something. But,
do we have any kids?
I have 3 tiny humans.
Nice.
Ages? How old are they?
11, 7, and 2.
Ooh.
Oh, busy, busy, and busy.
Oh,
are we?
Yes.
Those are the before the teenage age, but because we live in a society where they still got smart ass mouths at that age, we still got to check them.
Man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I was talking to somebody about parenting the other day, right? I'm at my kids. She got invited to like a birthday party or whatever. So I'm talking to one of the parents and I'm like, well, I believe having kids is overrated. And she almost choked on her cake. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I mean, it's not our whole soul's life's purpose. It's not just to have kids. We happen to have kids. So, but for, and I said, because I don't know. I know what the pressure is like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my body? Why can't I produce? Because I had kids past 30. So it's like, that wasn't fair to me. Like, why should I have that pressure on myself? If they come, they come. You know what I'm saying? Eventually we're all going to do our own thing. So,
And the pressure doesn't come with conversations about what parenting looks like. Because if we're thinking about, you know, trauma and information that has been given to us, right, that may not serve us now, right? If we're in 2022 going into 2023, we don't have
right.
we weren't having conversations with our parents and grandparents about what it looks like to be a parent, and not give our children the trauma that we may have experienced, it, the fears that we may have that aren't our own, that were given to us by our grandmothers or our great grandmothers or our grandfathers. So that's the conversation that I think needs to be had. It's not all about when you're going to have children, because shit, once you have them, then you look at them like, what do I do now?
I mean, and the fact is that kids in 2022 COVID years, first of all, let's be honest, the pharmaceutical company is still very, very big on us, you know, trying to drug down our kids. You know what I mean? Everything, you know, that happens, they're like, here, give them back. Here, give them this. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Never mind the fact that kids are, you know, now that they come completely, you know, different. You know what I mean? One of the things I talk about, I used to talk about on this show, was before my youngest, which is 7 now, before she could read, she had her what you call it, an Amazon iPad, and was charging my card every month. This chick couldn't read, but she was charging my card every month to listen to some stupid ass song on Amazon Music. And every month I was calling Amazon like, yo, why you charging me $11.99? I didn't order no Amazon Music, no, but we have our charge. There's a song that keeps. I'm like, who's playing this? Come to find out, because my account is at the, and she don't know, but she know the picture. She like, yeah, play that song. Play. It don't matter that mommy gonna get charged $12 to play a stupid
Not
ass.
a thought. Doesn't matter.
She wasn't understanding that. So we got kids coming out with brand new brains, brand new, you know, situations, and you know, and we got a whole brand new dangers that we now have to explain to them, you know, that goes on in this world, hence social media. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that we had to, you know, cut down in this household, based on we realized that, you know, people were on social media talking crazy, and it's like, no, we taking social media away together all the way, period. So as far as your kids, when it comes to, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not at, you know, because I don't think you're necessarily, you know, doing therapy on your kids, but let's just say, as far as certain, you know, subjects and going on in this world, social media, you know, let's say even, you know, cannabis use, CBD use, you know, things like that. You know what I mean? What's your take as far as your kids, and how you're planning to approach, you know, any situation like that when it comes to your kids?
So I actually, I've taken a lot of cues from my mother. My mother and my grandmother were before their time, and my great grandmother. They had open conversations with their children and their grandchildren. And so, you know, my daughter, she's at the age where they're starting to talk about drugs. And she's like, well, she ran down the list and she was giving me, you know, what they said. And I said, well, you know, let's fact check. So we actually did some research together, and we talked about cannabis. And I said, you know, there's a lot of things that they're still teaching that may not necessarily be true. Even down, they talk to them about shrooms, and we're learning that people are using shrooms in therapy with a licensed counselor, with a licensed psychiatrist, psychologist, microdosing to help with PTSD, help with severe depression. So we have an open door policy that's age appropriate about cannabis, about sex, about social media, about our feelings. My oldest is not so much open to it, but I make sure that she has someone to talk to. Like she'll call my mother or she'll talk to my partner. And then they'll gauge, okay, this may be something that mom needs to know about, or they'll say, yeah, I'll talk to her, but everything's good. And then to keep that trust. So they have people to go to, because I need them to know from me and not their friends or from people who may not necessarily know what they're talking about when it comes to certain things.
Or have their best interest.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And see, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I feel like, well, nowadays we got a lot more avenues to learn different things. Obviously, we got Google, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We definitely can, we got books, we definitely can do all kind of, research on our own and whatnot, versus back in the day when, you know what I mean, when 9 times out of 10, you learned about certain things by having conversations with friends, and that basically was just, just some, half knowledge, half, telling, extra tall tales, whatever. It was all, it wasn't all mixed in with factuals that you could then verify, you know what I mean? So nowadays we definitely have more access to more information, you know what I mean? And as far as hard conversations, I feel like one thing I want to ask you, like, you know what I mean, especially when you mention sex, because I mean, whether I mean, some people will say that yes, you can easily talk to your kids about sex, when the children are all boys, like it's okay, like that, they're supposed to, they're supposed to, like what they like, they're supposed to do what they do, hand them some condoms or whatever. But when it's a girl, the expectation is no, don't kiss, don't try to have no boyfriend, and you know what I mean. And we all knew it, and from back in the day, with back in the day when there was no cell phones, aka no trackers in my pocket, you know what I mean, things happened, you know what I'm saying, things happen. Well, now now you can if you give somebody a device that you pay for, that you make sure and pay the mileage on it, you can track that device and find out where this person is, and find out what they're doing and who they're talking to and who they're texting and what they're texting, and you know what I'm saying, you can do all of that nowadays. You know what I mean? You can definitely do that nowadays, you know what I mean? So I think it is definitely different. Like, how do you feel about this? Have you had to have the hard conversation yet? Like the real hard conversation, like not just, if somebody touches you at school. That let's go into the you might have a boy that you like in class, and you might be sneaking off to kiss him and doing all the touching. Have we had that conversation with our child yet? And let's just say, it had a twang of LGBTQ in it, because now we also got to have, because that's something that's possible too, where your girl child comes home and tells you that she likes girls, and it's like, oh shit.
So we have had the hard conversations, and there's a sex therapist that I actually follow and take tips from them, because it's so important to teach children that sex is not a bad thing. It's not something that is wrong, and also their body does not belong to me. I want them to have the education. So my daughter actually schooled me on some LGBTQ stuff, and we had conversations. It was important for me not to react, because this needs to continue to be a safe space, right?
Word.
With whatever you bring to me. And I don't want my children to ever think that they can't bring something to me, or because mom may be disappointed, I can't talk to her. You know, I want it to be, mom may be disappointed about what I'm about to say, but I know this is the best person to talk to. Yeah. So the most difficult conversation was, what happens to your vagina when you like someone or something happens, right? Oh. So, you know, if they're kissing on TV, you have a reaction. And they didn't want to go in depth about it. And I said, okay, but let me just say that this is normal. I don't want you to think that it's not normal or something that you need to hide. Now, on the inside, my whole being was like, oh my God.
Girl, I know. Girl, I know. Because even as I'm listening to the question, I'm like, wait, what? What you mean? What happens to you? Nah, nothing happens. It stays quiet. The hell? She don't say nothing.
I love that. And that question was just spot on with that experience. That's pretty amazing that you guys can, you know, share
Ruby,
that.
if you actually think about it, actually plays on one of the episodes where we talk about where you know what I mean? Because it was one episode we had where I remembered, after listening to what Ruby had to say, I remembered that I went on my child's iPad and went into the photo section, and it was a whole bunch of pictures of her hoo-ha. And I literally was like, oh, damn, delete, 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 delete. But then at the same time, I had to say to myself now, I mean, as a woman, I look, what's wrong? It just makes sense that she would want to see what's, I mean, what the hell? It's this part of her body. Why would but no, this is the wrong place for that. This is the wrong, delete, 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 delete. But no, at the same time, you know, it's just like you said, like in the inside of me, I was like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God. But at the same time, I'm like, girl, think about it. You look on a regular basis.
Did that. My mother handed me a mirror and she said, you got to know what it looks like.
You got to know what it looks like.
If you have questions, what the parts are, what the proper name, like, and she handed me that mirror, and it was one of the best things that she ever did, because then I knew, right, that my mother wasn't afraid to talk about it. Okay.
That's what's up.
All right. So I can look at it and I can talk to her and ask her questions about it.
It's beautiful. I love that. What's the freakiest thing that you and your man or your partner do?
Lord. Feel free to say that's none of your business.
Hey, you know, you don't have to answer it. I'm just, you know,
but if you
trying
watch
to incorporate
one of our
all
episodes,
the subject
you
matters.
Do know we get in people business.
Yes. And I was prepared for that. You know, I don't have sex.
I don't either, but my reason is different.
She said, no, I don't actually do that. No, because I don't do that.
All right, Mary, Mother of Jesus, what's going on here?
But I will say, I encourage anyone who's been curious, find a sex therapist and go.
You know, that to me is like, at the same time, kind of funny that even sex therapists even exist. But then obviously, you know, for the people, because you have heard, you know, people having, you know, sex addictions where, you know, they can't, and it's like while I can understand it a little bit, at the same time, I'm just like, I still need you to explain why would you be addicted to what? Like, to just anybody? But no. There's got to be some sort of level of exclusivity. No. We gotta check references and things. What's going on?
You know what?
Check some references. Background check. I don't know.
It would make sense though, because there's so many sex crimes. There's a lot of sex, especially within family, there's trauma related things. So it's probably the bulk of their work, I'm sure they get some weird ass situations too. I don't know. What was weird to me may not be weird to you.
Right.
That's true.
And so
yeah, sex therapists they work on if there's significant sexual trauma that may be interfering with the sex life of a couple, or even just self pleasure. A lot of people were taught that's wrong, don't do that. Or even trying to pleasure the other partner, there may be blocks to it, sex therapists do a lot of work.
It's funny you mentioned that, because literally I was just confused as hell as to why a grown woman would say this out loud, because I don't know if you know who Spice is, right? Spice. So she did this interview where she's talking to Angela Yee, and she explaining that she doesn't masturbate because apparently some sort of ghost, when you masturbate, some sort of ghost is having sex with you, and this ghost, it also destroys your relationship. And yes, this girl said this on a TV, wherever the hell they recorded this thing at. But again, my thing with that statement was, okay, one,
is that the Munch girl?
No, not that Spice. No, I'm talking about Jamaican Spice, actual dark skin reggae dancehall queen, big body gal Spice. That Spice I'm talking about. On Love and Hip Hop Spice. That's another way to know who I'm talking about. But yes, no, she was doing an interview on Angela Yee's show, because apparently Angela Yee has a show. And she said that the reason why she doesn't masturbate is because she believes that when you masturbate, a ghost is having sex with you, and this particular ghost it tries to destroy your relationship. Now, when I heard her say that, I said, okay, first of all, Spice, you Jamaican, and Jamaicans have a tendency to believe some fuck shit. I'm not being an asshole. I just happen to know Jamaicans a little bit, and just know that sometimes y'all be on some fuck shit. Never mind the fact, why would you say that in public? Like, just say that you don't touch yourself. Just say that I don't do it. My dude does it. I don't gotta do it. But to come off and say some ghost have sex with you makes it sound, you know what I mean? It makes people hear that and believe that could even be possible, and therefore believe that touching themselves is wrong. It's like, bruh.
Yeah, I'm cool on all that.
Like, don't do this. Just, this is not what you want to do. You can't. This is not the label you want to label on this thing, okay? Because it's not that, okay? Like, come on, let's not do that. You know what I mean? It's another psychological way of telling people that masturbation is wrong. It's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Because the little angels in heaven are watching you. You might as well say that, They're putting your name on the list. At Christmas, you're not gonna get your gift.
You're not gonna get your gift. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, it makes me want to make up some shit. See how fast it can circulate.
Like, come on, like, Spice, grown ass woman, you're gonna tell people that some ghost is having sex with you? Grown woman, don't do that.
Girl, I'm not a therapist, but that sounds crazy as fuck.
That sounds crazy as fuck.
It made me think of the scary movie scene. I forgot which one it was. Where she was having sex with the ghost.
Oh yeah. Either way, that's just wild. It's just ridiculous. I think, you know what I mean. But that also comes to the question of what other crazy things have you heard people say to you about therapy in itself, period? Like, because I can just imagine people come at you with some kind of fuckery ass stereotypes that you got to look at them and be like, girl.
of a
Girl.
therapist. Stereotypes of a therapist. I think one of the biggest ones, I don't know if it's crazy, but people are actually ask me, are you really a therapist? You don't look like one. And then I'll have to ask, like, what does that
Does one
mean?
look
What does
like?
that
Yeah.
mean?
What does a
That
therapist
sounds
look
very
like?
racist, and no, that sounds like I need to check your whole throat because you said something racist. What?
Yeah, they'll ask. And you know, and I'll say most of the time the idea that people have a therapist honestly is white. There's a wall up, I'm not personable, and there's a hierarchy, right? Like, I know this and you need to listen to me because you need to get to my level, or you want to
Mm.
be better. And that's just not how I am, right? I got my glasses, I got my earrings, I wear a t-shirt most of the
Beautiful.
time and a hoodie to work, and I have my nails, and I don't code switch, right? And I am personable, and I'm up here and you're here is okay, you know about your body more than I do. So with my expertise and your expertise, we're right here for the common goal of your wellness and your progression.
Boom.
Because
Beautiful.
that's a great approach. That's approach. It's like, okay, like I'm not an expert on you, you're an expert on you. You're coming to me because obviously you want to discuss something about you that's bothering you, and you want some help in that discussion. And in my expertise, I have the, you know what I mean, the kind of tools that could possibly, bring you into the, the healing process, you know what I mean? But I can't do it without your help. Like literally, it's all, like the whole therapy situation is about, both hands, one hand wash the other, both hands wash the face, basically.
Right. And I will say this. So a big thing is sometimes people get upset with therapists because they are waiting for us to give advice. That is not our role. That is not our place to tell you what to do. Unless somebody's going upside your head, then that's a safety issue.
Word.
So
Okay.
that's not, if you get angry with the therapist because they're not giving you advice and telling you what to do, that's not their place. That's not their role.
I mean, because if you want advice, you go to your friends. Like that's where fucking advice lives, within your friends, family, your whoever your circle is that you talk to, on a regular basis. But I'm assuming therapy is about, tools to figure out, how to make you a better you. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely not advice driven.
The best way to explain it, right? As we go through our life, our voice, when we come out, we have, as babies, as infants, that's the only voice we know other than our parents singing lullabies to us, hopefully, and reading books. Okay. As we get older, our voice starts to quiet and get softer and softer and softer, and everyone else's voices and opinions get bigger. When you come into therapy, my job is to ask the questions, hold the mirror up, self-reflect, so that those voices outside become softer and your voice gets louder again, so that you can make the best decision for yourself possible.
Bam.
Be happy and healthy.
Right.
That makes sense. And that's why therapy works, when people take it seriously, you know? Shit, I was gonna ask you. Oh, have you ever experienced a client falling in love with you or wanting to date you?
No.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. I mean, there's an actual term for this.
No following you home and trying to kill your husband because they trying to replace your husband.
No, but you know what? If they tried to do that, they getting a run for their money. And I'm not just trying to beat my partner up, but they gonna get a run for their
guns
money.
over here, player. Don't try no shit. Don't try no shit.
But no, I haven't had like a client just overstep.
And that's good. Awesome. That's good. That, you know what I mean? Because that means that you obviously set boundaries. You obviously, have, thank goodness, have had respectable clients that actually come in and are seeking the therapeutic way rather than any shiesty underhanded fuck shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you know what I mean? I mean, hey, because if it was shady underhanded function, it's like, okay, I'm gonna take your last check, and then you're gonna have to find another therapist because I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you. No, I'm gonna take the last check though, because you were here. So you were here.
And we did the work. Even
And
yeah,
We did some work, so
speaking
you have to pay me.
speaking about check though, how much do you charge? Do you take private insurance, or how do you prefer to get paid?
So I do take private insurance. Private insurance does come with some stuff though that most people aren't really aware of. But yes, I take private insurance just because of the community that I'm serving. A lot of times they are needing to use insurance, and if I ever stop taking insurance, I have resources like inclusivetherapist.com. They always have ongoing pots of money to sponsor people in therapy who need it, who don't have insurance and can't afford it, and the Open Path Collective. So there are resources if I ever decide to stop taking insurance.
That's what's up.
So wait,
how much?
That's funny, because now I want to understand. So I'm assuming, based on the way you described it, taking insurance is been like maybe a little bit of a hindrance.
So insurance, right? So insurance itself has its ups and downs. The insurance companies, they require a lot because they're paying for a service. So when I have a conversation with a prospective client, I will let them know, when you use insurance, that means that there has to be a diagnosis for them to pay for the service. And the diagnosis means that the service is medically necessary. And if we're being honest, most of the times when insurance companies wouldn't deem it medically necessary.
Of course not, because they want you dependent on some pills and shit with their bitch ass. But so no, I'm just gonna throw in my little 2 cents.
So that means that they have access to your diagnosis, right? Because it has to be on file in order for them to
cut that check,
approve it, right? And then sometimes they can say, no, we're not going to pay for this, or you only get so many sessions, right? And so, or you have a deductible, and the deductible may be $5,000, $6,000 before they'll even pay for it. So I guess for the community and for what is needed, sometimes insurance can be a part of the problem.
It definitely sounds like it, like, you know what I mean? Because of course, anything that is holistic or natural is a faux pas for them. Of course, no, holistic and natural, no, we don't do that. We don't like
things
that.
Actually work.
We don't like that.
And then, so Jasmine, what if someone could just cut you the check? How much would you charge per hour?
So my hourly rate, to be completely transparent, because I believe in being completely transparent so people can make informed decisions, my hourly rate is $140.
Awesome. Put that out there. Because for some people, it might not be.
It's not expensive. I mean, you know what I mean? That definitely sounds a reasonable rate.
And a good investment towards one's journey to mental health and gaining clarity. It's priceless. So as far as, and I like that you said you believe in you, because you know what I mean? That's beautiful. For some people, they might not give a shit about the insurance. They're like, hey, look, I have lots of money. I do this or whatever. I just need some help. I love that that's available. And if anybody's watching this, please reach out to Jasmine. I'm sure she'll tell you how to get a hold of her, especially if you're in that area, in that DMV, right? You in the DMV.
Yes. And see, that's the good thing that she also mentioned, is that her community you know what I mean? Not necessarily, you know what I mean? We live in that community too. We know that not necessarily everybody, you know, has the money or even has the insurance, you know what I mean? And then, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean, some of these, you know, statewide, state-run insurances, they absolutely have limitations on things. They'll tell you, you know, you can only go, you know, go see the dentist twice a year. You can, you know, only get, you know, one cleaning and things of
this
that nature.
deductible.
So of course, if it when it comes to therapy, you know what I mean, they're not gonna, you know, co-sign, you know, 12 sessions and 18 sessions. They'll, you know, probably do a limitation of 3 per year, where it's like, you know what I mean, and like she said, you cannot, you know, a real true full travel into a journey of actual self-healing, mental, you know, wellness, mental, you know, stability can't be done in 3 fucking sessions. It needs, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it needs, depending on the trauma, especially depending on the trauma, it could be, you know, 6 sessions. It could be, you know, a whole year of, you know, sessions, you know, twice a week and things, you know what I mean? So the fact that there's the actual fund that assists people to pay for those things so that they can,
Beautiful.
you know, be able to still be able to take advantage of your services and not worry about some fucking government saying, no, nah, you going to therapy too much, you don't need so much therapy. Fuck you, you don't know what the fuck I need. The fuck out of here.
Yeah, well, they feed us all the trauma and stuff.
What you mean? Fuck
Okay.
you.
No, that's
You to tell me what
beautiful.
the fuck I need.
Do you have your own practice? Or are you in a collective?
I do. I'm in private practice. I've been in private practice for 4 years now.
Get it.
Nice. And people
So
contact you
proud of
through your
you.
website and stuff.
Yep.
And do
Get
you do
it.
like actual like community like, you know, speeches or anything like that? Like, do anybody invite you to speak at certain things, to, you know, to educate people and things of that nature?
So I had the last one that I did was the motherhood series, right before Mother's Day.
Okay.
We talked about, because a lot of the things that I talk about is generational healing and healing the body, because according to some indigenous cultures, you carry 7 generations, right? And so that could be 7 generations before you, 7 generations after you.
Word.
And so when I talked about my portion of the motherhood series was about healing the body and preparing the body for birth and parenting.
I love that.
And
that is so beautiful.
Because we do know that, you know, postpartum, you know, before it, you know, pregnancy is a serious animal to go through, especially no matter, even if you got full support, you know, you still feel like, you know, you have moments in your life within the pregnancy where you're just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I love that you mentioned indigenous cultures too, and all of that, because there was one story that I heard that really gave me inspiration. As Kai said, you know, I'm a single mama, and I had to, you know, I had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time because this is very recent. But I heard a story about a certain tribe in which the women, when they go to give birth, pretty much go out to the forest. She straps herself to a tree and she comes back with her baby. And so it's like, that was so empowering and it felt so real, you know what I mean? And even though it's not something that my people necessarily do, we don't have hospitals. We usually just had the babies in the house. My parents were born in the house. So it's like, it's just so natural of a thing, and it would make sense to have that holistic approach. I've already have like a planned C-section, you know, in February, and although I have my, you know, feelings about that, it's just like, that's where I'm set up. Like the matrix is, I'm involved in the matrix right now, and I am dependent on this system at this moment. And plus I had 2 C-sections. What?
That's the point.
That's the point. Exactly. I can't wait until I'm able to step off. But at the moment, it's like I don't have the luxury of having my baby in my apartment. I just don't. And excuse me, there aren't really programs that fund something like that. Unfortunately, it's more of a luxury now, and it's so ironic. But because it's like this is just how shit should naturally be, right?
Right.
But I
There's
love
a
that you
fund
mentioned
in New York and Maryland for doulas. I'm not sure what the name of the organization is off the top of my head. It's been a long day, but there are pots of money, and I know some states are working to get insurance companies to actually cover doulas and midwives.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. That is true. That you know what I mean. They in New York City, they do have like actual places where you know what I mean, where you can it's not a hospital, but you can they kind of set it up like it's
Birth
like a
centers.
home, like it kind of looks homish like, and you can naturally just you and your family, you can have your baby that way. You know what I mean? But it's true. I'm gonna tell you right now, not for nothing, the scheduled delivery girl, something. Yeah.
Walked in one day, 3 days
In
later,
one
back at
day,
it.
you leave the baby is cool and curry. You come out, listen, I went in the hospital for the third one because the second one was an emergency. That was, you know what I mean? I was a little stupid with I let my water leak out, and I was at work. I was just doing too much for the second one. That's why she was an emergency. But the third one was a scheduled one. And literally I went in on a Thursday morning. She was out within 3 hours. And by Saturday morning, we was at the nail salon. I was getting my nails done like this, looking at her in the stroller, like, yeah. They was looking at me like, you had a baby. I was like, listen, I need my nails done. Shut up. Just get to my nails. Get to my nails. Get to my fucking nails. She's sleeping. Don't worry about it. If you move faster, we could get home before she wake up to know that we in the nail salon and start talking shit. Go ahead, do my nails. Literally, I'm just saying. I'm not out. Hey, so funny. I know it's a lovely thing, having it at home and people rubbing your back and all this stuff. But the schedule was nice, man. I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, and that's where I'm at with it. Like just seeing it for what it is,
And then the hospital I had the baby, I had her in shit. They have the chef, they had some kind of chef that was cooking all kind of natural meals that I ain't never had before in my life. And they was tasting so fucking good. I was like, what? Matter of fact, Saturday morning when it was time to leave, they was trying to kick me out before breakfast. I was like, nah.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Hold on. Let me eat breakfast first. Now hold on. Let me eat breakfast first, and then I'll go. I'm just saying. Don't take me out yet. Don't fill out none of that until they serve breakfast. Don't fill out none
hilarious.
But no, shoot. We want to definitely give you a chance to tell people, how to find you social media wise. And of course, you know what I mean, your website. We'll include it in the link in the description when we drop this video. So, but yes, tell people how to find you social media wise.
Right. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Pride of Nyla, PRIDEOFNYLA.
Nice.
And everything. The link to my website is in all of my bios.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Pride of Nyla. Yes, holla at her and please schedule with her. You have such a calming energy about you. You seem very genuine. And so, like I said, as humans, we can tell, when someone gives a shit or not. And I really appreciate you for reaching out to us.
No, I appreciate y'all. I truly do appreciate the work that you're doing and the conversations that you're having is needed.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Queen,
And
thank
that's
you.
true too, because that's one of the things I was thinking to myself now, like as a therapist, I could tell that, even when people come in, even if they if they come into you and they're a little apprehensive, a little anxious and whatnot, your whole spirit kind of gives them a calming, chill out, relax. We just gonna sit here and talk about you. And I mean,
Yeah, very
shit,
approachable.
you're very approachable. I could
Thank
definitely
you.
tell. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you for appreciating us, because honestly, one of the main things that we talk about on a regular basis, when while we're moving in our in our movements to get this whole platform to be what it is, to be what we see it is, we absolutely want, we absolutely appreciate everybody that actually sees what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Where, like I said, this is not a space for lazy potheads. This is a space for potheads that, live life and are continuing to live life and know that, we all go through mad shit. And this is a space that we have so that you can talk about that mad shit that's going through with you. You know what I mean? No matter what it is, good, bad, or indifferent, this is a space for you to discuss that. You know what I mean? We're
Judgment free.
perfect. We definitely ain't judging, because we talk about our own shit before we talk about anybody else shit. We talk about our own shit. You know what I mean? And our shit is, you know what I mean? So we keep it real. We definitely keep it real. So anybody that sees that and appreciate that, we absolutely love that. You know what I mean?
And they tend to be real themselves, because I have had some haters from my family.
Oh no.
I mean, we've all had people with their opinions, you know what I mean? And it's like, at the end of the day, yes, just like you have the freedom to give that opinion, we also want to give you the freedom to subscribe to the channel. And you know what I mean, and let us have our opinion too, because the reason why our opinion exists is because it's a real opinion, it's a real experience, it's a real,
and we give ourselves permission.
And we give ourselves permission to be real, to you know what I mean, to let it all out, and give anybody that comes on our platform the chance to let it all out, and feel free to know that we all going through the same thing. It's a real life thing over here. It's not no pretense, it's not no judgment, it's not no talk about you. It's definitely not for clicks and giggles. Fuck out of here. Ain't nothing over here about clicks and giggles. It's all about having a space to be real. And mental therapy, that's one of the things that I'm so glad that that as a Black woman, but not only as a woman, as a Black woman, as a human being, period, anybody that's trying to have people around us have better mental health, that's a good person. That's an absolute good person. So the fact that you chose our show to discuss what you do is a blessing. We definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jasmine.
You know what I mean?
Our pleasure.
It was definitely our pleasure to have you on the show. And like I said, when we drop this episode, matter of fact, you honestly are going to be our one of our last episodes of season 4, because we've been just dropping just content left and right, and so you're gonna be like one of our last episodes of season 4. And of course, if any updates, anything new happens in your circle, please feel free to hit us up and come back and talk to us, because we damn sure will have space for you in season 5. You know what I mean? And again, we appreciate you being on the show. And on that note,
Motherhood Sex Marijuana in the building.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Queen.
Take care. Y'all have
a blessed day too.
Have a good one.
All right now.